Good morning, Ajahn.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pay respect, 3 bow to Ajahn. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. We will begin today's section with the chanting, and Ajahn will read us for the chanting.
Okay, so we continue with the Buddha word on loving kindness. It's a good place to start. Every gathering is good to set our intention with loving kindness, connection to everybody in the world who are friends in old age, sickness, and death. Okay. Now let us chant the Buddha words on loving kindness. Karaniya matta kusalena yantaṃ santaṃ pataṃ apisameca sakko uchu ca suhuchu ca suvaco ca samutu anatimani santussako ca suparo ca appakicco ca sanlahukavutti santintriyo ca nipako ca Appakappo kulesu ananukittho najakutthang samajare kinjiyena vinyu pare upavathayong sukhino va khemino hontu sapphe satta bhavantu sukhitatta ye ke jipana bhuta thita sawa thavara anavase sati khawa ye mahantava Majjhima rasaka anukathura tit Hava ye ja atitha ye ja ture vasanti aviture Bhutava sampave siva sappe satta Bhavantu sukhitatta Naparo parang nikupphe thananti manye thakatha jinang kinchipaya rosana Patika sanyanan yamanyassa tukkhamit chayamata yatha niyang puttang ayusa ekaput tamanurakhe evam pisa papote sumana sampavaye aparimana metanca sappalokasaming mana sampavaye aparimanang uttang atho jatiriyanca asampatha averang asapatang tit hancarang nisinno va sayano va yavatassa vikhatamito etang sating atit Taya brahma metang viharang itamahutit tinja anupakamma siddhava tassanena sampanno kame suvinaya ketang nahi chatu kappasayang punareti iti. Translation. Now let us chant the Buddha verse on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would rather reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another. or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will which harms upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart, choose one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing, walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views. The pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being free from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Okay, next one. The words of sharing and aspirations. หันธรรมยังอุทิศนาทิธานคาทายโยพนามาเสอิมินาปุญญกรรมเมนะอุปัชฌายาคุณุตตราอาจาริโยปการาจะมาตาปิตาจะยาตกาสุริโยจันทิมาราชาคุณวันตานราปิจาพรหมมาราจะอินทาจะโลกัปปาลาจะเทวตายะโมมิตามนุสสาจะมัจฉัตตาเวริกาปิจาสัพเพสัตตาสุขีโหนตุปุญญานิปกตานิเมสุขังจติวิทังเทตุขิปปังปาเปทโวมะตังอิมินาปุญญกรรมเมนะอิมินาอุทิเสนาจะขิปปาหังสุลเพเจวัตันหุปาทานเชทนังเยสันตาเนหินาธรรมายาวะนิพพานโตมะมังนัสสันตุสัพพทาเยวายัตถาชาโตภเวภเวอุชุจิตตังสติปัญญาสันเลโควิริยัมหินามาราณพันตุโนกาสังกาตุนจาวิริเยสุเมพุทธาธิปวโรนาโทธัมโมนาโทวรุตตโมนาโทปัจเจกพุทโธจะสังโฆนาโทตโรมะมังเตโสตมานุภาเวนะมาโรกาสังลพันตุมา Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirit of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may our desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed interpretations of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Okay, next one. Reflections on universal well-beings. หันธรรมยังเมตตาภรนังกโรมาเสอาหังสุขิโตโหมินิทุกโขโหมิอเวโรโหมิอภยาปัชโชโหมิอานิโคโหมิสุขีอัตตานังปริหารามิสัพเพสัตตาสุขิตาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอเวราโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอัพพยาปัชชาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอนิคาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาสุขีอัตตานังปริหารันตุสัพเพสัตตาสัพพทุกขาปมุญจันตุสัพเพสัตตาลัทธสัมปติโตมาวิคัจฉันตุสัพเพสัตตากัมมัสสกากัมมทายาทากัมมโยนิกัมมพันธุกัมมปฏิสารนายังกัมมังกริสันติกัลยาณังวาปาปะกังวาตัสสะทายาทาภเวสันติ Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intentions, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such actions, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts there will be the heirs. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so we do the Mahasatipatthana, the full foundation of mindfulness. We finished the first three, the Kaya Nupassana, Vedana, Citta, the contemplation of the body, feelings, and mind. Now we up to the fourth one, contemplation of the Dhamma. So this is the first session of the Dhammanupassana. Nivarana Pappa, contemplation the hindrances. Okay, so we do the Pali first. Katan japik chave phikku dhamme sudhamma nupassi viharati ithapik chave phikku dhamme sudhamma nupassi viharati Panchasuni varanesu Atancha bhikkhave bhikkhu dhamme sudhamma nupassi viharati Panchasuni varanesu Ita bhikkhave bhikkhu Santang va acchattang kamacchantang Attime acchattang kamachanto tipachanati Asantang va acchattang kamacchantang Natti me acchattang kamachanto tipachanati Yatha ca anuppannassa kamacchantassa uppato hoti Tanca pachanati Yatha ca uppannassa kamacchantassa pahanang hoti Tanca pachanati Yatha japahinassa kamacchantassa ayating anuppato hoti Tan japachanati Santang va acchattang payapatang Attime acchattang payapato tipachanati อสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังพยาปาทังนัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังพยาปาโทติปชานาติยถาจะอนุปันนัสสะพยาปาทัสสะอุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะอุปันนัสสะพยาปาทัสสะปหานังโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะปหีนัสสะพยาปาทัสสะอายติอนุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังทีนามิทังอัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังทีนามิทันติปชานาติอสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังทีนามิทังนัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังทีนามิทันติปชานาติยถาจะอนุปันนัสสะทีนามิทัสสะอุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะอุปันนัสสะทีนามิทัสสะปหานังโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะปหีนัสสะทีนามิทัสสะอายติงอนุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังอุทธัจจกุกุจจังอัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังอุทธัจจกุกุจจันติปชานาติอสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังอุทธัจจกุกุจจังนัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังอุทธัจจกุกุจจันติปชานาติยถาจะอนุปันนัสสะอุทธัจจกุกุจจัสสะอุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะอุปันนัสสะอุทธัจจกุกุจจัสสะปหานังโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะปหีนัสสะอุทธัจจกุกุจจัสสะอายติงอนุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังวิจิกิจฉังอัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังวิจิกิจฉาติปชานาติอสันตังวาอัจฉัตตังวิจิกิจฉังนัตถิเมอัจฉัตตังวิจิกิจฉาติปชานาติยถาจะอนุปันนายวิจิกิจฉายอุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะอุปันนายวิจิกิจฉายปหานังโหติตัญจปชานาติยถาจะปหีนายวิจิกิจฉายอายติอนุปปาโทโหติตัญจปชานาติอิติอัจฉัตตังสุธรรมานุปัสสมุทัยธรรมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติวยธรรมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติสมุทัยวยธรรมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติอัตถิธรรมาติวาปนัสสติปัจจุปัฏฐิตาโหติยาวเทวยานมัตตายปฏิสติมัตตายะอนิสิโตจะวิหรตินาจะกินจิโลเกอุปาทิยติเอวัมปิโคภิกขเวภิกขุธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปัญจสุนีวรเนโส Let me do the translation. Contemplation of phenomena, the five hindrances. And how bhikkhus, thus a bhikkhus dwell contemplating phenomena in phenomena. Here, bhikkhu, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena. In terms of the five hindrances, and how bhikkhus, thus a bhikkhu dwell contemplating phenomena in terms of the five hindrances. Here, bhikkhu, a bhikkhu, when there is sensual desire in him, understand that is sensual desire in me. Or when there is no sensual desire in him, he understands there is no sensual desire in me. And he also understands how unarisen sensual desires arise. and how arising sensual desire is abandoned, and how abandoned sensual desire does not arise again in the future. When there is ill will in him, a bhikkhu understands there is ill will in me. And when there is no ill will in him, he understands there is no ill will in me. And he also understands how unarising ill will arises, and how arisen ill will is abandoned, and how abandoned ill will does not arise again in the future. When there is dullness and drowsiness in him, a bhikkhu understands there is dullness and drowsiness in me. Or when there is no dullness and drowsiness in him, he understands there is no dullness and drowsiness in me. And he also understands how unarisen dullness and drowsiness arises, and how arisen dullness and drowsiness is abandoned, and how abandoned dullness and drowsiness does not arise again in the future. When there is restlessness and remorse in him, a bhikkhu understands there is restlessness and remorse in me. Or when there is no restlessness and remorse in him, he understands there is no restlessness and remorse in me. And he also understands how unarisen restlessness and remorse arises, and how arisen restlessness and remorse is abandoned, and how abandoned restlessness and remorse does not arise again in the future. When there is doubt in him, a bhikkhu understands there is doubt in me. Or when there is no doubt in him, he understands there is no doubt in me. And he also understands how unarisen doubt arises, and how arisen doubt is abandoned, and how abandoned doubt does not arise again in the future. In this way, he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena internally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena externally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena both internally and externally, or else he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of arising, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of vanishings, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of both arising and vanishing, or else mindfulness that there are phenomena is simply established in him to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and repeated mindfulness, and he dwells independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That is how a bhikkhu dwells contemplating phenomena in terms of five hindrances. Okay, so maybe we do another one. It's a short one. Kantapappam, contemplation on the five aggregate. ปุณัจจปรังภิกขเวภิกขุธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปัญจสุอุปาทานขันเทสุกทัญจะภิกขเวภิกขุธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปัญจสุอุปาทานขันเทสุอิทัพภิกขเวภิกขุอิติรูปังอิติรูปัสสะสมุทโยอิติรูปัสสะอัตถังขโมอิติเวทนาอิติเวทนายสมุทโยอิติเวทนายอัตถังขโมอิติสัญญาอิติสัญญายสมุทโยอิติสัญญายอัตถังขโมอิติสังขาราอิติสังขารานังสมุทโยอิติสังขารานะอัตถังขโมอิติวิญญาณังอิติวิญญาณัสสะสมุทโยอิติวิญญาณัสสะอัตถังขโมติอิติอัจฉัตตังวาธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปหิทธาวาธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติอัจฉัตตปหิทธาวาธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติสมุทัยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติวยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติสมุทัยวยธัมมานุปัสสีวาธัมเมสุวิหรติอัตถิธัมมาติวาปนัสสสติปัจจุปัฏฐิตาโหติยาวเดวยานมัตตายปฏิสติมัตตายะอนิสสิโตจะวิหรตินัจจกินจิโลเกอุปาทิยติเอวัมปิโคภิกขเวภิกขุธัมเมสุธัมมานุปัสสีวิหรติปัญจสุอุปาทานขันเทสุ We do the translation. The five aggregates. Again, bhikkhus. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating phenomena in terms of the five aggregates, subjects to clinging. And how bhikkhu does a bhikkhu dwell contemplating phenomena in terms of the five aggregates affected by clinging? Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu understands such is form, such is origins, such is passing away, such is feeling, such is origins, such is passing away, such is perception, such is origin, such is passing away. Such are the volitional formations, such their origin, such their passing away. Such is consciousness, such is origin, such is passing away. In this way, he dwells contemplating phenomena internally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena externally, or he dwells contemplating phenomena both internally and externally, or else he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of arising, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of vanishings, or he dwells contemplating in phenomena its nature of both arising and vanishings, or else mindfulness that there are phenomena is simply established in him to the extent necessary for bad knowledge and repeated mindfulness, and he dwells independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That is how bhikkhus. A bhikkhu dwells contemplating phenomena in terms of the five aggregates subject to clinging. Okay, so maybe we can.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brother and sister, let us in uncharied position. We shall request for 3 refuges, 5 and 8 precepts now.
Mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama dutiyampi mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama tatiyampi mayang bante ti saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama.
Okay, repeat after me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Saranakamanang nititaṃ.
Amabante.
Pānātipada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Pānātipada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Ajinnāthāna Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Adinādana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
Kāme Sumicchācārā Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyāmi.
คาเมสุเมชาชาราเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
สุราเมรยมัชฌปมาทัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
สุราเมรยามัจจปมาทัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
For the 8th preceptor อะพรหมจริยาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อาปรมาจาริยาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
วิการโภชนาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
วิการโภจนะเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
จคีตวจิตวิสุกทัสสนามาลาทันทวิเลปนะธารณะมันดนะวิภูสนัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
นาจากิตาวริตาวิสุกาทัสสนะมาดากันตาวิเลปนะธารณะมันดนะวิภูสานะทานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
จาสยนะมหาสยนาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อุจจาสยนะมหาสยนาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิปัญจอัฏฐสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิอัตถสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตถสิกขาปทานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัตถสิกขาปทานิสมา
สีเลนะสุขติงยันติสีเลนะโภคสัมปทาสีเลนะนิพพุติงยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสทะเย
สาธุสาธุสาธุ We will now request for the Dhamma Talk.
บรหมาจาโลกาทิปักขิสหังปักขิกักตันจาริอันทิวักรังอายาจักขักสันติทักษักตาปักรักจากขักจักติกาเอเสทุทังมังอนุกังปิกมังปักจัง
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิ Okay, so good morning everybody. Meeting again on Friday, one pra, special day. Today is not one pra, but we kind of, for the convenience, we meet every Fridays. And for some of you who taking 5 precepts, actually you don't have to stay with 5 precepts. You can step up. You don't have to go right away to 8 precepts. You can start with the 6 precepts and 7 precepts as well. Whatever rule that you think you can do it today, you can step up a little bit. Maybe you can do the refrain from any evening meal, or stop dancing today. Can you stop dancing and listen to music and all those just for one day? It's not that difficult. I mean, you can make it a little bit. 5 precepts is basically fundamental. I mean, you should be already doing that. Otherwise, I don't know what you're doing if you not have 5 precepts. You not even do anything. You just remain human. Basically, you haven't do anything special. So 5 precepts is not that challenging. I hope by this time, I mean, been listening to the Dhamma talk for many weeks now. You should have some kind of eagerness to take up a little bit higher trainings. So I encourage you. I mean, not not to force or anything, but just to have a taste of a joy of renunciation. That kind of the word doesn't have good meaning this day, but I think it's very it's very wholesome to try to stay away from this sensual pressure. That how it's very a lot of pulling effect for you to entertain your sense, and it's very difficult to meditate. If you bombard your sense with all these things. So the first step is to undertake the intention. Okay, just for one day. Today I maybe I try a bit more restraint on my sense. Do I really need to see this, or do I really need to hear this? Do I really need to eat this? You just maybe you asking this, and then you take up the 8th precept. This question is very simple. I mean, you only limit your eating only in the morning times. You only limit your sight and sound to anything wholesome, anything Dhamma, anything that nothing to do with the Dhamma, any worldly news. This day a lot of things that you can draw yourself, and then this gadget is designed for you to draw your attention. Now they call it attention market. Basically, you are the product now. You're no longer buying the product. You become the product. People basically buy information what really attract your attention, and they sold that to the people who want to sell you things. So it's no wonder why you can't leave your eye off your gadget, and you spend a lot of time and energy basically chase after this sense pressure, and it's pretty disappointed. It doesn't bring you the long-lasting happiness that you hope it is. So once a week, try to stay away from it. You'll be more in line with the Dhamma. You can pick your day, Friday, or if you're not convenient with Friday, maybe on Saturday or Sunday, and you can do it by yourself. You don't need to ask from the monk. In the morning, you can put the shrine, in front of the shrine with the Buddha Rupa. You light up the incense and candle. And okay, today will be my training day. I will train myself to stay away from this sense pressure. Just anything that we can do together, like eating, just finish it in the morning, and then you can have the rest of the day free. You don't have to think about eating. And before long, you might even like it. It very simplify your life in many ways. And when your life is simpler, you don't need to earn that much. You basically can happy with content with yourself just by breathing and study Dhamma. You basically can free a lot of yourself from this entanglement in the world, which is very distracting these days. A lot of news of people not such a good example of how to lead the worldly life, and they probably confuse themselves. So once a week, we try to take up the training. If you can't 8 precept right away, then 6 precept is good, better than 5. 7 is good. Pick your choice, which one that you like, and bring it up, and then use that as your training precept that will be in line with the teaching of the Buddha. The Buddha said his teaching is for the people who are virya, who have an effort to strive to abandoning unwholesome, to cultivate the wholesome state of mind. So that should be our goal. And then you don't have to compare yourself with others. You compare with yourself. How would I doing compared to myself last week or last month or last year? Do I be more, happy, might be more content? The unwholesome thing that I used to be very fond of, very attached to, would I able to let go of that? Any wholesome state of mind that I haven't developed in the late, maybe last few days or so, is pop up or is nourishing in your heart, and then that is a good sign that you're walking on the right directions. So this should be the goal of Buddhists, that we at least we walk on the path, and whatever thing that we have to do, then we keep our eye on this path and continue on. So today, maybe I can answer some of the questions that people post. It's on the line. Is here. It's one of this interesting one. Is dear Ajahn, if we have more time, e.g. retire or semi-retire, to study the Dhamma, can you advise on how we can have a more systematic way to study the Dhamma? Thank you very much. Okay, so maybe can talk more about what we call in Pali is called pariyatti. There's two ways: pariyatti, patipatti, and pativeta. Pariyatti is basically the theoretical knowledge, pariyatti. Or you can say, like, if you compare it to the journey, then it would be study the map. Okay, and then patipatti is walking or traveling, whatever. If you have a special vehicle, then you speed quicker. Maybe by ship or by big boat or whatever. And then the pativeta is when you reach the destination. So this is a three kind of step or category that we have to pay attention to, and each one of these basically determine the other two. For example, how do we know that this is a pariyatti or this is the theory that we should study? Of course, the real pariyatti is the one who will lead you to patipatti, lead you to practice. When you listen to this, it's basically pull you to the practice. Yeah, I want to learn about this. Would it be the same as I study in the book? And it should be encourage you and give you a kind of it's like a coach to push you on the way, and maybe give you some kind of pitfall or something that you have to keep an eye on. Obstruction, like the one we just chant, the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the one about hindrances. Actually, it's the first one. I mean, when you want to practice, then the first thing you want to know is what is the obstruction. And actually, there is no obstruction until you have your destination or you have your goal, right? I mean, if you don't have any goal, then it's not your obstruction. You not even see it as obstruction. Sometimes it's even become your goal. Some people don't know, don't have any Dhamma study. They might spend their whole life pursuing sensual pleasure. I mean, most people in the world are doing that, exactly that. They go and they learn in the school, they graduate, they earn the money, work in the famous company, a lot of money, and then you use that money to buy sense object. So you can basically have a lot of sensual object. And so that not for their part, they did not see this as a obstruction. They see this as a goal in itself. So, but when you have another goal, like the sense pressure is really, I mean, they give you the fleeting moment of happiness and it's gone. And usually what happens is you need more and more of that. It's like an addict. So you see the pitfall, and then you see it's not fulfilling. The happiness there is very dry. It doesn't bring you the full happiness, not complete form of happiness. Then if you want to pursue knowledge and peacefulness, then sensual pressure become your obstruction, hindrances. So that's why the variety have to come here, because first of all, you have to know what you're doing. It's not like you come and then, okay, sit and then meditate. First, you have to see why we do it, why we do all this meditation, why we take up the precept, why we meditate. At least you should see that, okay, there are shortcoming of sensual pressure. And the more I develop in this sensual pressure, the more I invest myself in this pursuing of sense pressure, then I lost the opportunity to pursue higher form of happiness, the happiness that's free from sense pressure. So this is an example. Okay, so we know that this is what I don't want, this sensual pressure. I mean, you need it because you're born in a sensual world, but you not pursue it in such a way that you will make you break the precept. You pursue it in the wholesome way, and you're content with it. I mean, it just become the support for you. The fact that you have the nice food and nice sheltering and cloth and everything is good. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. But you not waste your time and energy try to pursue more of those things, because you know that in the end it will not give you the long-lasting happiness. But you use that as a stepping stone towards something else, and you saw that as a dangerous in preoccupied with this sense object. So it becomes hindrances. Okay, so it is an example of just the first one of the hindrances that you have to how to live in the world, in the sensual world, in such a way that use it, not being used by it. You become the master of yourself, and then you can guide yourself in this sensual world in such a way that your mind is free from that, and you can pursue higher goal. So this is an example of pariyatti and patipatti. And then the question might come, okay, how much pariyatti that I need to know? Well, it depends. I mean, if this is enough for you, that like, okay, now I know the sense pressure is not fulfilling. I want to let go of that. I want to pursue a higher one. Then yeah, you can. Some people just that it's good enough for them. They just go. I mean, they can cut it right away. Some people, this is not enough. They might want to know a little bit more. Okay, all the aspect of sense pressure, what the type, they divide to 5, eye, consciousness, ear, tongue, nose, smell, taste, touch. They have to know a little bit of, so to say, like enemy. You have to learn the enemy. What is it like? So you can let go it. So this is it's not clear cut answer of whether how much pariyat you know. I think the thing is that it's not enough for you to practice. If you think that this is enough, then go and practice. But if it's not, maybe you come back and you relearn it, or looking at other aspect of it. And the fact that you learn it and you put it to practice, and you go back and you can check your practice whether it's in line with that or not. It's like providing the map. I can't tell you how detailed the map is, depend on where you are at and where you want to go. Sometimes the rough map is good enough. You just go. But sometimes maybe you're stuck in certain particular place, and you really have to know detail how to navigate through this basically thick place, and then you might want to know more detail. Also depend on where you are at in your journey as well. So this this pariyati, if it's the right pariyati, it will put you toward patipati. It's not something that is just theoretical, you know, and you don't want to do anything with it, but you know it, so you know how to practice. First of all, you have to know the Four Noble Truths as a framework, whether this is the dukkha or suffering or not. If it's the dukkha, then the thing for you is to understand it. Dukkha mean body and mind. This is suffering. It's potential for suffering. So you have the duty to understand it. And you have to learn enough to know that which one is cause of suffering, samudaya, you know. Craving is a cause of suffering, and you have the duty to it. You have to let go of that. So this is very important, because if you don't know what it is, whether it's suffering or this is the cause of suffering, and you kind of you mess up, you don't know what to do, what to abandon, and you have to learn what is the nibbana. At least in the beginning, theoretically, you know, this is basically the free from suffering, but actually it has to be free from the cause of suffering. Because if you just free from suffering, is arising again. Suffering arising and passing away. I mean, the passing away of the suffering is not in itself end of suffering, because it's arising again. So you have to look at the cause, and you have to abandon the cause. So the real thing is to abandon the cause of suffering. That when you realize nibbana, the goal. So the goal is to that. And then how to do that? How to abandon the cause of suffering? You have to cultivate this makkha, the noble eightfold path. So it's like the thing that you have to know is like a recipe. Before you making some delicious dish, you have to put all these together. So you have to at least know that theoretically, and then practicing it. And then there's a goal along the way, you know, and you can basically you have the long-term goal. Okay, I want to reach nibbana at the end of suffering, but there's a kind of small, you can cut your journey in bit and piece, and for example, you can set your goal at, okay, now I want to keep 5 precepts pure. Okay, that can be your first initial goal, and then you can step up maybe 6, 7, and then 8. And once in a while you can go up to 10. Just see how burden it is to have to carry this money and think about what to buy, and maybe if you have a chance to go to retreat, is one thing, you can keep that, so you don't have to worry. You don't go shopping when you are in retreat, so you can put aside your money, and you don't have to be making decision about what to buy, this and that. And you can see how free the mind is. You just don't have to worry about this and that. And that can be your initial goal. Okay, how much precept do I keep? Just keep going. You can. I mean, some of the precept might be too detailed for you, but you can learn from monastic. In monastic, we are basically designed toward enlightenment. So we have a very clear-cut rules, which you can learn as well, you know, and then adapt to it at whatever level that you are. You can adapt and then use that. Like for example, the structure of confessing, I find this is very useful as a monk. Sometimes you have to pair your friends, and then expose your shortcoming to your friends, and then they will help you, and also for yourself as well. I mean, if you have to do something and you have to confess, then you kind of feel ashamed, you know. Like you don't want to repeat doing it again and again. Okay, so that's one thing that you can maybe imitate by doing that. Of course, some people might be doing some rule better than you. You might be in certain rule you are doing better than your friends, so you can have exchange. How can you keep that pure? You can learn from the rule that your friends are keeping better than you. So that's how we progress along this line of helping, pointing basically fault in each other, because sometimes we might not see what is our own shortcoming is. Our friend might be better seeing that, so they can share with us. And if we open and we want to to change, then that can be mutually beneficial that we along the way to practice. And then there are certain other goals as well, like okay, now because we keep the precept, then we free our time and energy to pursue studying. We can read more of the Dhamma, or we can meditate more. To learn the Dhamma is like study the map, and then meditate is like when you're making a journey. So you want to have both for it to be meaningful. If you just reading the map without walking, then what the use of that? Or if you keep walking without looking at the map, you can get lost. So it just this thing go hand in hand. So each with part of pariyatti that you want to learn or understand, at least you have to make the effort of walking. So there are many pariyatti along the line. But in terms of systematic study, I really like the Tipitaka, the original source. I think the word of the Buddha is the best. That's why I learned Pali, because I want to know it firsthand. But of course, I mean, if you're not willing to learn Pali, there's many good translations these days, like Bhikkhu Bodhi, for example. So I think you can buy it from any bookstore. It's the one I like is like Majjhima Nikaya. It's just right amount. You can read it maybe in 20 minutes, half an hour. Just read through it and understand it. Or in the beginning, there's some I think Bhikkhu Bodhi put together the kind of anthology or different sutta in one book. You can start with that, and then going on other book as well. Or Ankuttara numerical teaching is also nice because it's categorized into number. I find this is nice, especially when we do the chanting in the morning. Ankuttara Nikaya provides us with a kind of special kind of category for we to contemplate, especially the one with the 3-1 and the 4-1. I think 3, 4, 5 is pretty much good because our capacity to understand, when you divide things into 3 or 4, I mean, maximum is 5. More than that is a bit difficult to memorize. So you divide this by 3 of those, 4 of that, 5 of this, and then you can kind of make practice of thinking in terms of how the Buddha classified this and what does it mean by each one. Numerical order is really neat. And I remember when I was in Ananachad, Ajahn Chayasaro, he always used that. When we have a tea in the afternoon, people we bring our cups, and when people have these 2 pots, one with the caffeine, one is not caffeine. And usually we can have one of each. We allow two bottles each evening. And then during that time, Ajahn Chayasaro will basically bring this book up, and he will, okay, let's see. Say we have these 3 of, say, the way of how to be govern ourselves, use which one should we do that, like Attatipatai, use yourself as a priority, or Lokatipatai, basically other people, or the Dhammatipatai, use the Dhamma, thing like that. That's kind of in category, and you can learn definition and learn the term through that. I find this is very, very nice, and this is one of the teaching that actually when you ordain as a novice, there's a 10 questions that you have to answer it correctly. It's called 10 questions for the novice. It's kind of nice. So this is basically some of the very basic, almost like the curriculum for the monks and the novice to study. And you can, if you want to study it systematically, this is the way I like it. And a lot of this, we do the chanting, we bring part of those put it in the chanting. So we repeat it again and again. But sometimes because chanting, you can only chant that much, and usually in the forest tradition, we have limit amount of chanting. But in the Pariyatti traditions, and the whole Tipitaka, you can pick one of those and do the chanting. So it's very nice to have that. It's like you're going to meet with the Buddha. He probably give a different teaching to different people, probably not repeated, because the way he explained it is always interesting. So in the way you can pick and choose, or if you're not right to read, then there's how many reading now in the internet that you can basically search to YouTube and listen. And there are many courses on Bhikkhu body. Some of them are very nice, like Paticcasamuppada. It's very difficult to explain. So if you want to know it systematically, you probably have to spend some time, a little bit invest in those terminology, listen to a few talks, and then read a book and read through it a bit. And this is the thing that it is profound. It's not easy, so it's very difficult to explain. So you have to have the time to sit down and then familiarize with each term, and step by step slowly follow through the guide in that in the particular sutta, and then come up with your own understanding. It's just the way how we attach to the sense of atta or soul, or the sense of identity of self. In how many way of those, like 5 khandha that we just chanting. Sometimes we identify with one of those, or sometimes we identify with other, and then there are 20 ways of Sakaya Titti, for example. The Sakaya Titti is like the self view, the view that this is me or mine. So you mistaking of this body, feeling, perception, mental formation, consciousness, and you thought this is yourself. And how many ways you can have a wrong view. So that in the sutta they will divide into that. And then for me, I find it's very interesting. Okay, so now I know how I can create the self. You can learn the process of self-making, which part of these 5 aggregates that you identify with. And once you identify with that, what happens next? So there will be the consequence of each identifying. So it's kind of nice subject to learn, but I don't know whether it would be interesting for some of you or not. But for me, I find it's amazing that the Buddha described all of this, the whole how the mind works and how we delude, how we make a mistake again and again, identify this thing as me or mine, and then the Buddha slowly point one by one, and each aggregate, whether is it worth calling it me or mine or not. So first you have to learn what is quality of that aggregate is, and you have to have mindfulness enough to follow through and see the process. So rather than try to identify with it and then create a story based on that, you change your perception to understand the process of how the mind just make things happen, basically grasp onto this and create the sense of self, me or my making. So this is all in Pariyatti. It's very difficult to when you meditate, this thing usually not pop up. You have to have certain understanding of Pariyat to a certain extent. So when your mind calm down, this one can, whatever you learn can come up. So when your mind is peacefulness, and then whatever you learn first is of course it's just theoretical, it's just thinking, but when your mind calm down, that thinking become clear, and when you can identify with the one by one with your pariyat and padipat go together, when you are what I reading about this, but when you practice, that's another sometimes you have to put aside what you understand or what you think you understand first. Just go through the meditation, and then afterward, maybe you can start to understand what is going on during that time. And for example, like the factor of jhana, you learn it through theoretical. You have like vitakka, vichara, application of thought, and then sustain the thought, and then piti, the gladness, and sukha, the happiness, and ekaggata, one-pointedness. This is like called the jhanic factor. But this is theoretical knowledge. When you practice, you can't just think of this in this term. When you meditate, you just have to focus on whatever, either the kasina, the red color, or if you're focused on your breathing, your object have to be just that, only that, at the present moment, only the breathing in and out. But while you're doing that, your mind, your jhana factor in your mind come together and then unite, and then you go into jhana, or basically deep concentration. During that time, you not investigate what's going on. You just be one with your breathing. But after that, you come out again. Oh, this is what's going on. My mind have this quality. It have an application of thought, sustain of thought, have gladness, happiness, and one-pointedness. It's all there. But during that time, you're not thinking in terms of what it means. You just experience that. Okay, and also it's good for you to know that, because some people not knowing this, they go right away into practice, and they might thought, I got nibbana already. Some people already got jhana, but they don't know. They thought this is nibbana, because we have a term called enlightenment, right? Enlightenment means the light coming in, and maybe sometimes when you meditate, you see this light come up, and say, oh yeah, I get enlightened. Actually, it's nothing to do with enlightenment. It's just one step. When your mind calm down, that one of the signs can happen when the light can pop up, like it's very bright, and it can be really peaceful and breathe out. But it's not nibbana. It's not enlightened yet. So this is the term that is difficult. That's why I think it's good to know Pali a little bit, because if you rely on the English translation, it might be confused. This is one of the examples. Enlightenment, it doesn't mean that you have light, although that can be one step. When your mind calm down, one of the signs, actually it's called vipassanupakilesa, the defilement that come when you practice diligently, when you about to go into vipassana, then that light come up. So you have to know it. This is the knowledge of the pariyatti. Pariyatti, that about the practice. It provides you with a detailed map. What is the pitfall of that? Because the first one, the 4 hindrances, is the 5 things that we just chant. But when you practice diligently, there's another one is more refined. Actually, it's always good, but the fact that you thought that is enlightened, that is Magga and Phala, that is when you make a wrong step, when you attach to that. Oh yeah, I got enlightened. That is, I practice very hard, and the light come up. Okay, I'm enlightened now, which is not. It's just it means that it's good. Actually, you're on the right path, but this is still you have a way to go. This is just one factor that come up. It's called nimitta, and it's called the light come up. And the other thing as well, like sometimes you have a special knowledge, certain thing that human being can't know, or you miss out. You basically you feel happy all day. This thing is also when you attach to it, it's like, okay, this is I got enlightened already, then you got the wrong path. So that's why I think it's also good to study and then to practice together, so you not get lost, and at least you can, okay, after a while you can check it with your map. Okay, whatever I did, and you evaluate it through the map, reliable map. You have a good pariyatti. You go, oh yeah, I just this is the path, but it's not the goal. It's just one step on the path. You just keep going. And also, of course, the result or the pativeta is will be the thing that will prove if you practice and then you reach that state, then that means your pariyat and patipat is on the right direction. The pativeta will be the proof. And it's many ways, like pativeta, it can be just from the beginning. For example, if you are stream enterer, the result of the stream enterer is that you'll be perfectly, 5 precepts will be automatically for you. And you can use that as a guide. If you still have problem with 5 precepts, still breaking here and there, that means you are still far away from stream enterer. Or if you are non-returner, you no longer have the sensual pressure. I mean, it just your mind is so beyond that. You're able to let go of this craving for sense pressure, and when you letting go of sense pressure, the opposite of that, irritation, frustration, angry, will not there. So it's go together. So that means you are reaching the non-returner. So here is you need a little bit of pariyati to guide you and then to understand, okay, why am I in the map, and what next I have to be watchful and keep the eye on, and how to practice. So yeah, I would recommend that, when you have a free time, so say if you are about to retire or you have working pastime or things like that, you have many times on your hand, so you can divide it up. Okay, so maybe like a monk, we have the whole day, we have different way of practice. So certain time you might do some more chanting, certain time you can studying, certain time you might sit, meditate, or walking jongrom, or doing certain chore around the house. Any routine chore is very nice for meditation, and repeated activity, sweeping, mopping the floor, cleaning toilet, or whatever. It just when you know how to integrate it into your practice, it's very peaceful. It's like you're having a flow going. You enjoy doing that, and also your mind also at the same time. It's like taking up the flow of meditation. It doesn't have to be one object. When you work, of course, your mind have to be, but at least it focused on that. It's not complicated. Okay, my goal is just to clean my room, to make it neat, and then to clean it. You just spend whatever half an hour doing that, and that can be part of the practice as well. You can have some exercise, have some use that as a mindfulness training. They call it mindfulness in action, and that's also the thing that you learn if you live in a monastery. We don't have like a setting as a meditation retreat where people just sit quietly. Most of the time we just have to do the activity, but that activity have to have mindfulness integrated in that activity. Whatever we do, when we saw the ropes or washing the ropes or doing some certain chore, cleaning the Ajahn kutis or whatever, it's just do it with mindfulness, do it with that intention and care. And when you have time by yourself, now you can do kind of more deeper meditation, sit quietly. So you can set up your time. You can start up with like half an hour and then increase that maybe by 5 minutes every week or so. Just slowly push the border. So now I can sit for half an hour. Maybe next month I will be comfortable at 40 minutes, and then go on like that. So yeah, this is the thing that you can experiment with, how much you want to study, how much you want to practice. Study here mean maybe a book study. You can have a time for you to read and to contemplate, and the time for you to meditate, time for you to do a certain chore, and so you can alternate that. It's like when Luang Pu Man give instruction to Luang Pu Cha, and he said that you should practice it in circle, meaning that it should be continuously. It's not like, okay, this is I want to rush doing this so I can go to practice. It's not like that. Whatever you do now is your practice. So if you are study, then that is your meditation. You have to understand your material. You have to know what is meaning. That become your goal. That particular point. And when you meditate, your goal is to be with your breathing, in and out. And when you do a certain chore, then that will be your goal. Like in the monk, we have the way the Vinaya is. You have to be very observant to your teacher. Okay, say okay. Say you can prepare the water for him. The first day you prepare the cold and the hot water. Okay, and then you observe what he pick which one. He picked the cold or the hot one, and you do it for 3 days. And if all of those 3 days, say if he picked the hot water always, these 3 days he always picked the hot water, then the 4th day you just prepare him with the hot water, so you know this is how he do it. So it's a very neat way of doing. And in the old way, sometimes we don't have electricity. Sometimes when the teacher giving a Dhamma talk, we just fan him. And when we fan him in the back, then usually he will say, "Oh, enough." But it's not like when he say enough, you just stop and then you go. That means you don't want to do that. You say, okay, when the teacher say enough, you just slowly maybe fan it a little bit softer. And when you say second enough, you can a little bit softer. And when you see 3 times, then you can stop. So this is a kind of the nice way of the, it's called the Vinaya etiquette of how you take care of the elderly. Because it's kind of considerate. For the teacher part, we also worry that maybe the student sleepy, he want to go back to his hut and want to crash out and sleep. But for the student, you want to show that you are eager. It's not thing that you do it from duty, but you do it by heart. You really want to help him. So the teacher says, okay, enough. And you just let it, and then enough. And then only 3 times and say, okay, that the teacher really want me to go. And then you can ask to make a leave. Yes, things like that is, Vinaya is make you a more refined in certain things. So maybe you can use that when you take care of your parents. It's just a thing that I never learned when I was a layman, but when I become a monk, this thing is very, very detailed, and it's just see how when you have a culture of Buddhist, you nurture your elder. It's one of the characteristics of the wise person to take care of the elder. It's just so beautiful traditions. So here is another example of how it's go together. I mean, if you're not learning, it's all written in scripture. The thing is, you have to somehow learn it and then practicing it, manifest it. If you just learn it and become book knowledge, it doesn't mean much. You say, oh yeah, yes, people do it like that. But when you bring that to practice, and you really see the effect of when we do like that, what is the effect to your mind? It makes you very more observant and really nice when you have that connection with your teacher. So this is, and then you see the benefit of that. It's a pativeta in a small way. So many things like Dhamma Sumeto mentioned about cleaning Ajahn feet. He always reluctant to do that. He said, "Oh, what the point? Ajahn has only 2 feet, and then these monks like the dozen of them going, and up to the point I say, okay, I will just go along." And then Lumpur Cha smile, say, "Okay, Sumeto, you accept now this." And then Ajahn Sumeto said, "Okay, I'm looking at my mind now. You can see that my conceit that I'm higher than them. I'm no better. Just that conceit is." So all these things, it just help you with that, and you can see. Unless you practice, if you just learn it, you never know what does it mean. But when you're practicing, okay, when you are integrated in your daily life, and you see the benefit of that, it becomes part of your nature. You become your second nature. So it's pariyatita, patipatti, and pativeta. It is somehow it's just intricate, and each one is checked by the other, and then the real pariyat will be pointing toward the patipat and toward the pativeta. Pativeta is in a way is going back to, okay, I'm on the right direction, and it will tell you which pariyati you want to learn next, because it's pariyati is very broad, and so it's like you, okay, now you reach this destination, now you want to go back and you want to learn more the detail about this map, how to travel, how to navigate through this one. Okay, so that's how it's support each other, complement each other. You learn and you put it to practice. So I recommend the original word of the Buddha. I find it's very inspiring. Actually, with all the teacher, he also tried the same, but he simplified it. It's maybe easy. Like Luang Por Chah, he have his way of making the Buddha teaching very accessible and in a way that you can understand. It might be a lot of technical term, but when Luang Por Chah said it's very down to earth, but it's a lot of meaning. Like eat little, sleep little, sleep little, practice a lot. This is the whole. It's called the Arivangsa, the lineage of the noble. So it's basically content with the requisite, with the clothing, with the dwelling, with the food, but put the effort into abandoning unwholesome and cultivate wholesome. So the Ajahn Chah put it very simple word into sleep little, eat little, speak little, and practice a lot. So this is the example of actually it's the same. If you like the forest tradition, Ajahn already digest it and simplify it for you. But if you want to know the deep meaning, actually it's in the sutta. It's good. Classify what each one mean, and if you incline on that line, you can get a deeper meaning of that. And of course, if you study the word of Buddha, it might be you have to learn a bit about the Pali, because it's the original language. It's a language that preserve the meaning the most, because it's the way it constructs. It's like a mathematic formula. It have ability to put all this Dhamma into one word and then transmit that. And it have a very systematic way of define the word very meticulously about what you mean. So it's kind of nice. But of course, you have to maybe learn a little bit about that to appreciate what the meaning of that. But again, I really think it's good way of learning. I mean, people these days a lot of problem with Alzheimer and thing. One of the things to do is to learn a new language. So you train your mind to think in a new way. So the people in the West, they usually playing bingo or playing chess or whatever. I feel like if you are Buddhist, maybe rather study Pali will be more interesting. So you just maybe 2 or 3 words a day or whatever. Pick the keyword, studying it a little bit. What it mean, like the word keyword like dukkha. What is dukkha mean? What is derived from? All these things is interesting to know, and it gives you a deeper meaning. When we say one word, you can understand more meaning. So for me, it's just interesting to know that, and it's not only this lifetime. If you, as far as you're still reborn, you still need that knowledge, and I think that all the Buddha will teach the same. I mean, Four Noble Truths would be there, even though it's the next Buddha. He probably didn't come up with anything new. So it just the Dhamma is always there. It's just people forget about it, and then he have to basically like he discovered the path that is abandoned by other people. So I think it's a good way to divide yourself up. If you retire, then you have more time. And actually, this age, you can stay healthy for a long life. You know, if you retire at 60 or 70, it's still many 2 or 3 decades left ahead of you. So I think the language is one of the things that help your plasticity with your brain and you know, kind of mold it in another way of understanding things in the Dhamma way. So I really like it, but again, this is not, some people might be just enough for understand and practice. If you find this is pariyati is good enough for you to practice and to receive the result, then it's good for you. But if you find you want to learn a little bit more and you want to spend a little part, invest on the structure, infrastructure of understanding to learn Pali is very rewarding. After you learn and understand it, you can understand it deeper. Okay, so I think that will be my kind of suggestion for people who think of learning more. And I think it's good. Study the map is always good. But again, if you study the map, you have to walk as well. So it's good to have formal meditation together with your. So it will guide you in terms of which one that is you need to know, because even the pariyati is very broad, and sometimes it just confuses you which one that you really want to know. So if you practice, you know which pariyat that you want to pay attention to. Which pariyat is this direct path. It is the way that you will bring you closer to the goal, to the pativeta. Okay, so I believe my thought on this teaching, this studying and practicing. I hope that you will find this beneficial and maybe you will use this time well, of whatever your time left after your work. Your work in the world might be stopping when they stop paying your salary, but your internal work still have to go on unless you are arahant. So you still have the work to know the inner work, you know, the thing that only you can do it, and it requires a good map and a good strength on the way. So I hope you'll be able to do the internal work and to reach to the final goal, to be abandon all the suffering and to reach the other shore, the happiness of peace of Nibbana.
Ajahn,
Yang Dhamma Kathaya Sadhu Karang Pradamase Sadhu 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 Anumodan.
Should I lead the chanting, the end section? Namo yang tassa bhagavato puttha savanang karo mase. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay, so see you next week.